All right, everyone, here's today's lesson, and this is the general ledger. So this is just a simple sample company, if you look here, that I pulled out of QuickBooks 2015. It's a consulting business. This is the general ledger. So I'm going to close this out, and I'm going to show you how this whole thing works. Again, the general ledger is a report that has all your transactions in one report, all the debits and credits. And the way it's structured is, so it goes, your general ledger works just like your chart of accounts. It's going to start with your assets first, then it's going to go down to your liabilities, then your owner's equity or equity accounts, then your revenue, and then your expenses. My computer's freezing up here on me. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is we want to pull up a general ledger report. And we can do this a couple different ways. We can do general ledger or accountant detail by account. I'm going to pick last month. Okay, actually, let's go reports. All right, so here's the general ledger for November 2019. All right, so you can see here is your first rent check. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna scroll through this report transaction by transaction. You can see there's quite a few transactions here, but it's only gonna take us about 5-10 minutes to do this. And when we do this, we're gonna know exactly where every single transaction went to. Okay, so here we go. So we can see here on November 1st, we got a rent check. Now, again with the QuickBooks, when you scroll down, you go from your pointer to a hand to this little Z magnifying glass, which means you can click on it and then it zooms you back to see what it is. So you can see here they wrote a check on the 1st for office rent. It's cheap rent. All right, then you got this check. You got a paycheck to this Jonathan Graham. You click on that. You can see those his wages, his taxes withheld. You can even scroll and see all the detail. Very complicated. Don't even look at that. That's too complicated. All right. So we got a paycheck in there. You got another check to this Vicky. You get a small paycheck, a deposit. It looks like we collected some funds from a couple sales. So we collected about $16,000 from Jimenez, Carter, and Brock in this Westchester Optometry. All right, and then it looks like you pulled or you paid on a line of credit. Now this is a complicated transaction here. You can see they paid $5,000 down on their line of credit. So they paid down on a loan. Here's your interest expense for your line of credit. Looks like you got some insurance. You got some utilities. You've got this Natalie Chapman for $5,000. It's coming out of accounts payable, so let's take a look at that. Looks like it's Natalie Chapman Consulting. Looks like it's one of your vendors, probably an independent contractor. Your car lease, your local bank. Let's click on that, and you can see this is a payroll tax deposit. Yep, right on the 15th. We all felt those. We hate those things. There's your state tax deposit. Looks like you're paying for the Section 125 health insurance. Looks like you got another paycheck here to this Jonathan Graham. Another small one to Vicky. Another deposit of $24,000. Over here, looks like you collected some more revenue from some of your sales. Then cell phone, telephone, check. Looks like this Jonathan has an expense reimbursement. Click on that. Yep, some car, meals, entertainment, telephone expenses. Deborah Wood, petty cash. Let's take a look at that. So she bought some supplies and some little stuff here. Postmaster's $54. Harvey Cables, postage and delivery. Postage supply, or maybe it's like a or courier service. Office supplies, another revenue deposit. Here's your health insurance, postage, fees for your payroll service. Looks like Deborah's the owner of this particular company, and she took out some money. It comes out of the owner's capital draws. Remember we covered that in our little 5 buckets of accounting. All right. Janitorial service, State Farm insurance, auto insurance. Looks like you paid a credit card. And more is Harvey Cables. All right, so we went through all the cash transactions. So everything going forward now is going to kind of be a repeat the other side of this. But that's it. So you just kind of went through and you saw all your deposits and every check that you dispersed. So you just basically told you everything. Here you spent $31,000 and you collected $57,000. Here's where it all went. All right, so as we scroll through, here's your accounts receivable. Looks like you invoiced out $20,000 to your customers or clients, and you've collected this $40,000, which you remember over here, payment of that. Okay, so you collected 40 up from your accounts receivable. So one of these is going to actually just be directly revenue. Deposit funds. Okay. So here's your accounts receivable. Here's your invoicing. Looks like you bought some insurance, but uses a prepaid insurance as opposed to an expense. So, for example, this might be 3 months worth of insurance as opposed to 1 month, so it hits your prepaid. So just so you realize that money went out and went to an asset account as opposed to an expense account. Here's your undeposited funds. So these are just basically your payments that you receive. All right, here's your accounts payable. So here's are the bills that you set up, and here's the bills that you paid. And here's your credit card transactions. Looks like they entered them from the statement. Basic stuff, locksmith, computer supplies, some coffee, holiday decorations, and then the actual payment. So this is the stuff off your statement that you purchased, and then that would be your payment to it. Line of credit, we kind of covered that. They paid down a loan by $5,000 on a line of credit, and then they hit some interest expense in there. Payroll tax deposits. So here's your paychecks that created your liability, and then here was your payment on the 15th that paid the prior month's liability. That's a little bit tricky, but because this is November's payroll that you withheld, and then this is the October one that you're paying in November. Because remember, you paid on the 15th. Your health insurance looks like you collected $50 from Jonathan, and then you paid the $100 out, $50 per paycheck. Owner draw. This was a little more complicated, but this is when Deborah, she paid herself through draws as opposed to running herself on the payroll, and it hits the equity section. And now we've got the revenue side. So it looks like you invoiced for some reimbursed expenses, and then here's your actual consulting income. And then here's your direct labor. As you can see, these are paychecks from, it looks like it's Jonathan. So you see that's how much Jonathan took. That's his net pay, but the actual amount was $2,500. So when you click over here, it's 22. Okay, so you can see here's a payroll check to Jonathan. You scroll back on that, and you see it is $2,500, but this is only 22, And that's because they got some of it broken out between direct labor, and then they're going to have some of the $208 is going to be office expense. But the point is this adds up to $2,800 or $2,500. But part of it's here and part of it's in a separate account down here. Kind of confusing for our example, but just roll with it. Okay, so you can see there's a payroll withholding or payroll. Looks like an outside consultant here for about $2,800. We can click on that, and we can see that this Natalie invoiced us for about $2,800, and here's a job she did it for that. Reimburse expenses, so they get reimbursed for some expenses when they go out and visit clients and such. There's your car lease. Here's some car and gas and oil repairs. Your car insurance. Looks like there's no mileage reimbursements. Some depreciation. Insurance, health insurance, your liability insurance, and workers' comp. The maintenance to your janitorial company. Some meals and entertainment. Office expense. Some postage. Your payroll service is $123. Your rent check. Looks like you had a bunch of supplies. And the key to this is you're just reviewing your expenses one by one, making sure everything's right, making sure it did happen, making sure that it's in the right category. Because all you're trying to do is you're going through and you're seeing where every nickel of your money went and make sure it's in the right spot. Because what will happen is something will pop up that you didn't authorize or something you forgot about. But the whole point of this is you want to go through and see where all your money went. So at the end of the day, you saw and you had your finger on your finances. You saw how much money came in and how much money went out. So this is the general ledger. You see there's about $168,000 worth of transactions for this particular month of November. This is both your debits and credits. So there's quite a few here. But you can see this doesn't take that long. I mean, this would take you about 10 minutes to do an entire month of your company. Because as you become familiar with this, you can say, yep, that's right. Yep, that's right. This one here is right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. If you got a question, it's going to stick out, and you can flip it over your account and say, hey, why is this here? Or what's this about? But for the most part, all you're doing is you're familiarizing yourself with what happened for the month. Where did the money come from? And where did the money go? And once you do all this, again, it takes 10 minutes. You know what happened in your business. So this is the most important thing you can do every single month. And it really should be done every week, especially when you're getting started with this. You get familiar with it. You do this weekly. It's going to take you just a couple minutes. And you just get the good feel for what's going on in your business. My most successful client never graduated from high school, doesn't have an accounting degree. He does this for his business. It's a $12 million a year business. He does it every week, and it doesn't take him any time to do it. But this is why he makes money, because he knows where all his money's at, where it went to. And then you make decisions when you see this stuff happening to fix things that are bleeding or something you didn't order, or just getting a handle of everything that's going on in your business. This is how you do it. I'm going to show you another report that's actually a little bit cooler than this one, but you got to do this one every day. This is your go-to list of what has to be done. I'm going to show you here shortly a really cool report on how to make your profit and loss statement extend out for the entire year. And it's kind of the same principle as this. We're just going to kind of review everything. But again, this is the most important thing you can do for your business and having control in your finances.